Welcome back to Danny Rants. This week, we're going inside Schoolies, Byron Bay and Gold Coast. There's a lot of talk about it being dangerous and being hectic, full of sex, drugs, and rock and roll for the past 20 years. There's also a lot of talk this year about it dying out. Is Schoolies popping? Is it as crazy as they say? Or is it actually dying a slow and painful death? Come with me as we go look at Byron and Gold Coast and suss out what the current state of Schoolies is. But before we get into it, please click and subscribe to me. Almost at 10K. If we get there, I'm going to give away something very special. Let's go. We just arrived to Byron Schoolies. I'm down here about to have some dinner with some mates of mine. They used to own 1-800 Schoolies, which is the biggest competitor to Schoolies.com, and now they own Tribe Schoolies. So they do Schoolies all over Australia. They do them over in WA, which is called Levers over there. They do it in Fiji. They do it in Airlie. They do it in Byron. They do it in Goldie. So I'm about to catch up with those guys. I have run Schoolies myself for 16 years, on and off. This is the first year I've ever not run an event here, which is it's a long time fucking running, but we're in Byron. We're going to check out what it's like. So a little bit of an overview of the clubs here. So currently it's the Beach Hotel and the Northern that are kicking off. Back in the day it was La La Land and Cheeky Monkeys. So La La Land and Cheeky Monkeys were the dominant ones. The Beach had always killed it. It's been a pillar of Byron Schoolies. And there's a bunch of other venues too around here. But Great Northern is the new Great White Hope in a sense. It's like the later sort of looks like a nightclub. It's not that kind of like beachy bar vibe. And it's the last 2-3 years it's really been kicked off. Prior to that, they never used to do Schoolies, but now they are. I ran it for 2 years. And then this year, I'm just visiting. Some artists that I manage are playing tonight, so we're going to go check them out. And we're going to go have a quick dinner and we'll go see what this all looks like. So it's 8 o'clock and the Schoolies are everywhere. They're like termites. This is one of the venues where we're coming up to tonight, which we're going to check out, called the Northern. In front of us is coppers on horses, and I've not seen that, so I don't really know why that is happening. That's the Northern there. It's open at 7. This joint will be packed. It's one of the busier places that you can go to. So we just scoffed down some dinner. We're about to head to the Northern. Go check it out. Rockefellers are playing. See what the haps are. Traditionally, Byron is a lot more chill. It's a lot more chill. They sort of take over the town, and there's not a lot of trouble for them to get into, or less trouble to get into. I was just speaking to one of the guys I had dinner with before, and he says it doesn't look like anyone's on drugs, which might sound like a weird thing, but I asked that question because I sort of have noticed that. And they're very caring. Where we were just waiting past before, the security guards like using torches to get people back, and the actual community is very much helping them. In Gold Coast, it's a bigger city. It's like 1.1 million people there. It's a bit more of the wild, wild west. So we're going to check it out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's going to fucking be absolutely off its head. And maybe it's going to be the craziest thing I've ever seen. Byron is private school kids. And normally, Gold Coast is public school kids from Sydney and from Melbourne. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with it, but that seems to be the case. So up here, we've got the Beach Hotel. So this is probably the most iconic venue in Byron, I'd say. It used to be the only place to do Schoolies. It's run by a guy called Evan Sear. The line is fucking huge. So they've done a good job. Last year, I can tell you that it wasn't the size of that, so like good on him. That's like the park and the beach and shit. Now that is the biggest line I've seen at the Beach Hotel thus far. What do they have there tonight?
I think it's a kid called something Webb, Jake Webb from Melbourne.
There's some schoolie kids just infiltrating the park. They've just turned 18, so they're allowed to drink alcohol. Some of those kids, no doubt, will be underage because that's what they do. They drink in parks. What's this? There's another place over here. We've got another club over here, and that is called the Casaluna. Well, I've never even seen that, so that's a newie. Casaluna has got a bit of a fucking vibe going on. So up here is Northern. We're gonna go check this joint out first. There's coppers here. The piano bar's pumping. There's a massive line. Just as big, fucking hell. So everything closes tonight at 12 o'clock, so it's really early because it's Sunday. And that's what I was saying about the Gold Coast. In Gold Coast, everything closes now at 3, but it used to be 5. But here, everything closes like basically by 1, everything's done. So it's a bit more chill. If I was going to send my kids somewhere, I'd probably send them to Byron. Normally, we'll see. This could be a different year this year. Could be full of fights and fucking chaos and drugs. Who knows? You've got to keep watching to see. Line's literally around the corner. Head up here. A couple of seckies having a word with the boys. Not tonight, fellas. Come to this way. Is there a server up here? Is there a convenience store or a server up here?
Yeah.
So Over there is another joint called Saltwater Creek, and that Casaluna, I'm just told, is run by Schoolies.com. So this one here, the Great Northern, is run by Tribe, which are the guys that I just had lunch with. And then here is a piano room. I'll go check that out after, but it's fucking absolutely insane. The hot dog man, he be making fucking squillions. It's called the Balcony over there. It's one of those joints that never really gets busy for Schoolies. Don't really know why. It's a cool pub, but you'll see a lot of locals up there or actual people that are holidaying. These old famous bands written on the wall. I'll find some soon and I'll point them out, but there's so many bands. I'll probably massive Australian bands, plus international bands that have played here. Dance artists, I don't think they do a whole lot of dance stuff normally, to be fair. We've got the Dregs, we've got Restricted, one of the young boys blowing up in Australia right now. Hermitude somewhere I saw before. If these walls could talk, I always say it, but if these walls could talk, they'd have yarns for days. They put me to shame. Guys, I found the stash. It's true. This place is full of Skittles. There's a whole fucking thing of Skittles here, and these kids are eating them like they're free, because they are. They're actually free. If you're a mum and dad at home, you're gonna be worried about that. Even the piss is full of stickers. All up here. P. Murray gives good head, apparently. I've heard that. Queen from the Queen Latuishas. This is more graft than bands, but fuck. Still mad. In true Schoolies fashion, we're gonna cheers a cruiser. Fuck yeah. Job's way better, but in case you're wondering. Over here is the iconic piano room where some dude just plays hits all night, every night, and people fucking lose their minds. So check this out. So this is Red Frogs. It's like a church community, and they give out frogs and free water, and there's like, I don't know, 20 or 30 of them, and they're here and in Gold Coast and anywhere the Schoolies are, and they basically help everybody. So they're the men of the Schoolies. They cook people breakfast. They do everything good for people. Legends. So this is Discovery Parks. This is one of the most busiest Schoolies spots. Basically, what they do is they come up here and they run buses on the corner every 10 minutes so the kids can get into town. Which is, again, as I said, like there's a lot of money in Schoolies, so there's a lot of facilities. There's like Red Frogs, there's buses, there's venues, there's clubs. Some of the artists that are playing, like there's Restricted, Kelly Holiday, there's Jake Webb last night, Rockefellers. There's a lot of money spent in this period of time and on these artists here because there's so much money in it. The areas that the kids come to and they live in, there's like, I think the 600 of them can live in here. This is the caravan park. It makes it affordable. The company called Tribe does it. As you can see, it's 10 a.m. right now, and there is not a soul awake. So that's pretty normal. About 1 or 2, they'll come out like rabbits out of their hole, and they'll be everywhere with 8% cans in their hands. So the ways that you make money on Schoolies, one is like the promoter model, which is what we did, which is a little bit old hat now. We got pushed out, people like us. Is that you put on an event, you pay the venue like a venue hire, and then you charge tickets, and then you try to get kids, and it's very much like on the ground. Like you come here and you're able to have an impact in a day. So you're out there with street teams and stuff, like telling people what's going on. It's line up based, but you can be the shittest night on a Sunday and then be the busiest night by Wednesday if you play your cards right. You're able to make an impact really, really quickly, but it's very much like hand to hand. Like whereas these days a lot of it's online, it doesn't seem to work that well at Schoolies. The second model, which is kind of the winning model currently, is like you've got your companies, and what they do is they sell accommodation packages. So they'll go sell an accommodation package for $2,000, and that'll include all your party tickets, all your accommodation, everything but your flights basically. And then they make a clip on the accommodation, and then obviously they get a clip on the tickets that you come on the night. So, and the other thing too is it attracts, because there's multiple Schoolies companies. So one of those Schoolies companies doesn't have tickets to that venue, then they have to buy them on the door. So they get like the double dip, and they compete night to night to night to night. So one night, one joint might do 1,500, the next night it might do 600, and the other one does 2,000. So it just sort of goes in ebbs and flows. And then because of that, you're able to like shake that money out of those pockets, which is, and you're at 7 days a week, and you're doing thousands and thousands of people. So it's probably one of the most aggressive times to make money as like a promoter, or in it as a nightclub. But the bars do shit because they pre-drink beforehand, and they drink real cheap shit, and they come in and they do like one drink each. Sometimes that's probably not even that. Sometimes they pay their door entry and that's it. So basically, the bars, they have to open obviously because it makes sense for them to open during the period of time. But the bars, I remember we wouldn't even crack 10k with like 2,000 kids in there, which is fucked. Like if you were to do 2,000 people at 20, you would do what would you do? Maybe like 80k, 60, 80k. So like that's basically shows you how little they spend. But in saying that, it's quantity over quality here at Schoolies. This year is a lot different than I've seen before. Before we were coming up here at 10 a.m. and there was kids having coffees, and there was kids running, and there was kids exercising, and girls sitting on the beach reading books. As time goes on, they get more and more chill. So I've been doing this for 16 years now, and I would say that the 16 years ago it was still pretty wild. There was a lot of drugs and stuff, and then a lot of fights, a lot of like all that kind of traditional Schoolies stuff that you see in the media. Nowadays, it's like I have not seen a fight. Like Carl, you've been doing it for what, 9 years?
Yeah, 9 years.
And
haven't seen anything this year.
Have you seen any fights before?
No fights. Oh, fights heaps.
Yeah, back in Gold Coast
usually
also.
it's mayhem, but this has been like very peaceful.
Yeah, and it's, I guess we're in Byron, so people want to chill out, but we're going to go to Gold Coast later, and it's a lot more wild. Byron, they sort of take over the town, and everybody looks out for them, from the cops and the security guards everywhere. Like last night, I reckon we saw 30, 40 security guards just scattered on the street, making sure the kids are getting home. So I would say this is the safest of the two options. We're staying in that Schoolies park, or we did today last night, and I didn't hear a fucking peep. We got home at 12, and there was no noise whatsoever. So we're pretty wild, but I guess, don't believe what you read in the paper. We also were talking about, so again, Carl and I have worked in clubs for 2 decades, and I've seen a lot of people take drugs, and I can pretty confidently say I didn't really see anybody on drugs last night. Carl, what was your thoughts on that?
Not one single person.
So yeah, so that's another one too. Is like Schoolies, they always say that everyone's off their heads. Well, I don't know where they were because we didn't see them last night, but I can't talk on Byron before, what it was like 10, 20 years ago, because I've not been here. I've already been here the last 3 years. So that's a little update. We're going to head over to the Gold Coast this afternoon, go check out the venues. A bit more going on there, a bit more competitive and a bit more crazy traditionally, but it could be wrong. Carl just mentioned one as I turned off the camera, but basically even people highly intoxicated, people didn't even seem that pissed last night. And another one was we walked through the town and there was no spew on the ground, which is like, I know that might sound weird, but like normally there's like a sea of spew, there's little spots everywhere, and there wasn't even that. Like it just seems, I don't know, they seem a lot more conservative and better behaved, it's fucking awesome. It's a credit to the parents out there. But yeah, obviously we're early, it could change. This is what I was talking about before. This is the Schoolies kids that are running, where they're fucking ripped. They must be professional AFL players or some shit. This is the Beach Hotel. So the Beach Hotel is one of the other Schoolie venues that's been popular forever and a day. Before, like when La La Land and Cheeky Monkeys was popping, this place was still off its head. As you can see, the beach is just there. So it's an amazing sort of place to party, I guess. And these sold for like 110 million a few years ago. It's normally, the inside part is the club part. They have more kind of like electronic / dance artists in here, and then the kids are all scattered out the front. I believe it's run independently by a guy called Evan Sear. He probably still works with Schoolies.com potentially, but he's a guy from Melbourne who's been doing it for a very, very long time. He's like my age, and he basically has made it his career is dominating Byron Schoolies. So that gives you an idea of how much money there is to be made here if you're able to win. So from my understanding, some people, if they own a Schoolies area, that's it, that's all they do. That's their job for the whole entire year. So I found out a problem. So apparently the guys from, I went to the company, were just saying that some chick in one of the accommodations they rent out Her hair caught on fire from the hairdryer. Keep going straight. So that's a little bit of juicy gossip, but it's not really like what you'd think with Schoolies, but pretty fucking funny. Droves of Schoolies like walking along. They're all on walks. There's a couple of dudes running before. There's another one running. So like fitness seems to be a big thing for Schoolies, and like when you think of Schoolies, there's more Schoolies over there. When you think of Schoolies, you don't think of fitness, but there's fucking heaps. Like I reckon we've counted like 50, 60. They're like running and walking and you know, exercising, which is, I don't know, when I think Schoolies, I don't think exercise, but from a different generation, I guess. Quick dip before heading to Gold Coast. This is my favourite beach in Byron. It's a little bit off, not the beaten track, but it's like one step over, so you have to drive here. It's near Ray's, that real famous Instagram spot. But as you can see, it's ridiculously beautiful. They've got the hinterland in the background. That's Julian Rocks over there. I've dove there, there's heaps of turtles and wobbegong sharks. This is not a Schoolies beach really, but this is my favourite beach. Thought I'd show you just because it's fucking sick looking beach. So here we are at Byron Bay Brewery. This is actually one of the sites for one of my top 5 parties probably. So I did an event here for Schoolies with a group called Salado with my old mate Carl Hand. And Salado are like an artist. If you don't know who they are, go check them out because they've got heaps of good tunes. One is XTC, that's awesome. They're kind of like that kind of 90s sort of ravey house vibe. I think Camel Fat, think Dom Dollar, I think Torrent Full kind of vibe. But we did them. Those guys were fucking awesome guys. We picked them up from Goldie and brought them down here. And they've got heaps of good yarns. There's one yarn that one of the guys from that group has about him going to jail, which is, I fucking hope he comes back soon because I want him to tell it on my potty. But anyway, back onto this party. So this is my favourite, definitely favourite Schoolies party I ever did, but maybe a top 5 party I ever did because, you know, Byron Bay's mad. So this is the brewery here. You walked into here and there was like this back area. I'll see if I can find some footage because it was sick. And we sold 800 tickets and they all kind of came in the last minute. But you walked through here, I think it's probably open here. You walked through here to Byron Bay and then you went through this venue and it opened up to this big courtyard area. You can maybe see, there's somebody in there. So you can maybe see through there. And then I'll find some photos and stuff and chuck them in. But there, it's all like, you know, fairy lit. You're in the middle of like kind of like the jungle in Byron Bay. Warm night, perfect weather. Absolutely killer set. The boys played for 2 hours, but that's one of my favourite yarns. Unfortunately, this venue's shut because of COVID-19. The traffic was obviously a little bit fucked. It was harder to keep making money, so they closed down, but they haven't knocked it down. It says they're going to find another space and do another live music venue. We'll wait to see, but the space currently is not being facilitated or used. Hopefully it does because it's fucking awesome venue. Another thing I'm going to add, which is probably going to be a little bit controversial, but this year, more than any year, all the kids look exactly the same. They've all got like jorts on, like jean shorts, or they've got long sort of baggy pants with a white shirt and like a flannel, like a tea towel over them, and with the same haircut. They've all got blonde with shaved a bit here and a little bit of a mullet, but more so than ever, I was just saying before to my mate, like everybody looks exactly the same. Our first stop in Gold Coast, there's a day party at Cav Beach. We're gonna go check that out, see what that's like, and see if it's different than Byron. There's already a lot more Schoolies, a little bit more activity, but again, everyone looks relatively fresh, but maybe they can just bounce back because they're young. So let's go check out Cali, which is a fucking sick venue regardless, see what's going on there. Sick venue, I've done something here before. I did a chair launch event around the pool. We'll go check it out. But this is like, I think it's all ages. I'll find out. I won't comment until I find out, but it's like a day thing. It's free. People can come down, Schoolies can come down and get hammered during the day. See the beach from there. It's pretty mad. This is the pool area. Normally people aren't swimming in here, but there's people swimming in here. And then they can buy these booze. I'm guessing they're free now, huh? They're probably free? Yeah, the booze are free. Like first in, best dressed probably. Again, heaps of seckies, heaps of lifeguards, heaps of, what you call it, security maybe? Is your selfie?
How you going?
Is this your actual rider?
Yeah.
Shit.
We have like fruit there as well.
There's never ever any point that people are going to drink the whole thing. Like, it's physically impossible. Imagine if you had all those Red Bulls, you'd die.
It's just like scary, dude. Because what they had balloons full of money, and at midnight they were dropping all the balloons full of money. It was the best, worst idea ever.
So that joint there is like free drinks for Schoolies. Just starting to heat up now. Our friends Cass are playing there, and then there was Bread Gang after. And basically it is half licensed, half not. So underage kids can go there. I doubt there'll be a lot of underage kids this week, but they can. So it's again a facility for them, but the poor underages, they get shafted because basically all the clubs are packed, but everything that's like underage is dead. So that's probably one of the better spots for them to hang out and enjoy themselves. And I highly doubt that their 18-year-old friends buy them alcohol to drink at their apartments because that's illegal. So I doubt that's happening. And this is dead. There's no one around at the moment. Looking bleak. So it's 10:50 p.m. We're heading into Cav Ave. It's still pretty quiet around here. We did a bit of a recon, but the main strip, which is like Cav Ave where the clubs are, looked pretty busy. There were some clubs that had no lines, some clubs that had heaps of lines. So we'll make our way there, but we'll see what we can spot on the way. Hopefully there's a little bit of vomit. Hopefully these kids, having a little bit more fun than the Byron kids. Oh, we're smelling a little bit of weed. Maybe these kids are doing drugs. So we're about to walk past the beach. That's where the underage kids hang around. And on this week, on Melbourne, week 2 they call it, but Melbourne and New South Wales, that's the not a lot of underage week. So if you're here and you're an underage, you're basically experiencing 1/3, not even 1/3, 1/10 of schoolies, because there's normally about like 50, 60 kids on the beach playing soccer, hanging out, drinking, but the rest of the kids are in the club area. So we'll go suss out what these underage kids are up to. They'll be surrounded by police. There's always heaps of police around the beach protecting the kids because they drown. The 2 ways the schoolie kids die is they fall off balconies, but now they've locked them all so you can't get down on them. And the second way is they drown at the beach when they go swimming pissed. So the police and everyone around basically tries as hard as they can to not let that happen. From my understanding, no one died for a few years, but it used to happen every year. There's one group there, one group over there, a couple by the stairs. That's basically it. And then here, Cav Avenue is fucking dead. Normally at this time of the year, there is no shit. Like thousands and thousands of kids making noise. There's God people yelling out and screaming about trying to convert young 18-year-olds and how they're committing sins and shit. I can't even hear the God people. So she's pretty quiet. Talking to some other kids that were here last week and they just stayed on, and they said that this week was worse than last week. So I don't know. It's a bit weird. There's some red frogs talking to people, saving some lives.
Yeah, this is crazy quiet.
So that's the beer garden. That's like the breeze. It's free normally. It's normally pretty busy. It's all about girth down there on that line, not about length. It's always super fat. But kids go there before they go out normally. I think it's free. It's like cheap alcohol or something. Yeah. Big crib in the moment. It's normally where like the cooler music is. So they've got like Laura King, I think 16, Benjamin, I think his name is, and a bunch of those like fast techno acts across the road. So it'll either do really, really well or it won't connect. But time will tell. It's only Monday, so it could pick up. It's normally a bit of a slog if you're not one of the guys that owns their Schoolies companies. What's going on? You good? I'm alright. I'm tired. That was a promoter for elsewhere. He's saying it's grim on the streets. Only one club's really busy. Everything else is struggling, and it's a lot of New South Wales kids, not Melbourne. You love that one. What club is this up here?
Sorry?
What club is this up here?
That big club just up there.
Yeah. Over here we got Retros, which is never really pumping during schoolies. Then there's Lost Kingdom. There's a joint called Arcade, which is over here, but I believe that they literally just stopped opening their doors like a Ferrari. So they say official Schoolies venue. So official Schoolies venue basically is the company. So Schoolies.com. They've been running shit for like 30 years. They've got competition a little bit, but at the moment they don't. This might not be a good thing, I don't know. Then we've got coming up here, Asylum, which is another one that's free at Schoolies.com, whatever. Relatively popular at times. What's it hold, like 1,000 plus?
Yeah.
And then Cocktails, which has been here for fucking, it's as old as I am, Cocktails.
Holy shit, bro. I actually love your shit, bro. I've been everybody for ages, bro. It's great seeing you. Look at us, bitch, bro. Hope to see you later, yeah?
Be good. What's the goss from Schoolies?
Oh, it's the good nose, eh?
Only been 2 days, yeah.
It's only been a couple of days. We're
Where's the hotspot?
Oh,
Beer garden.
Beer garden's hotspot. Yeah, seems like it.
Do we pick up the bird or what?
Oh, apparently so.
I'll leave it to the boys to enjoy. And again, those kids, like, they just don't seem that pissed. It's like 11 p.m. at Schoolies. The venue's closed in like 3 hours. They just all want good behaviour bonds, I reckon. These guys chuck them on them. But this one here is the big club. This is the one that's fucking popping off their hotspot, apparently. So here is Fabric. So Fabric's owned by some guys from Adelaide. And it's the only sort of standalone club. The rest of them are owned by 2 different groups or a couple of different groups. But this one here is standalone. I don't know what they do. They must put cocaine in the water or crack in the water because it's like this all the time.
Good, you?
Good man.
So what's it go here? Like, how does it all work?
Right now, so we're giving out these bucket hats.
Yep.
You get bucket hats, get in, skip the line basically.
Yep. How do you get a bucket up?
We're giving out during the day and stuff.
Oh, okay. That's smart.
Yeah.
And why is this the busiest club right now?
Well, for the best experience, mate. I think we're the most fun club, you know?
And are people, they playing up at schools or are being well behaved?
This year, actually well behaved.
Yeah. You reckon it's quiet or busier?
I think it's slightly down because I think there's more places to go to in general.
Yeah.
Like I think you're in Bali or like LA Beach or wherever else it is. I'm not sure. Thailand, Bali.
I reckon that you guys that haven't been seen to see an impact is fucking packed. These things here, I talked about them last time, but they still open these or not?
No, the toilet doesn't go up.
These are like toilets that rock up and you can piss in them. So you can just like walk on the street and like piss in these they're like pop-up pisses. It's like the best idea ever, but they still do them or not?
No, they don't, mate. It's a safety hazard because you can get stuck in them. Or if what happened is, I think it was up one time and someone was taking a piss in one and it dropped like 1/4 inch. But if it drops the whole way, you actually get trapped in it.
Fuck, that's bad. Imagine getting trapped in a pisser.
Bad idea, but not up the front of the club.
And it would stink, yeah?
It wasn't the best.
We were still doing Sin City.
Did it make sound?
Samples? No, man, not me.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to come in?
Yeah, I'll go check it out. You don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, mate. Let's go straight up, guys. That line, no shit, is like 200, 300 meters long. And then everything else is like, this is the second longest line. It's like 20, 10 maybe. It's beyond me why everyone would wait in that line when all the other clubs don't necessarily look that much different, but they don't have as many lines as that. It's always that psychology. It's like wherever the busiest and hardest place to get into is where everyone wants to go to. It's no different here, even though they're all free. All these clubs are free. They still want to go to one and they're all waiting in that line for that one club. It's actually the only club that you have to pay for after 10 o'clock. It's like $10. So the only club you've got to pay for is the busiest club. So it shows you it's a race to the bottom. If you give away shit, it doesn't necessarily work. You're better off trying to put value and adding value into what you're doing, like your fucking brand, than giving everything away. Because when you give shit away, people are sussing it and they don't want to come. How's Schoolies been so far?
Oh, yeah, real.
2 days in or what? Where are you from? Sydney. Everyone's from Sydney now. Yeah. All Melbourne people now from Sydney. I got a girlfriend. Yeah. Took you like a minute and a half. Yeah.
I've seen you everywhere.
Is it club reviews?
Yeah.
I remember I saw one of your videos and you're like, oh, we let the gangsters and the cops in.
So every group I've spoken to since I've been here have said they're from Sydney, and this used to be Melbourne dominated hard. It kind of makes sense now why the clubs with the Melbourne artists and the Melbourne DJs that do well aren't doing that well. But fuck, what was I gonna say? So yeah, it makes me wonder where the fuck are the Melbourne kids? Because this used to be Melbourne dominated, but obviously it's not anymore. So where are the kids going from Melbourne? Are they going to Gold Coast? They're staying local? They're going to another state? Are they going to Bali? Who knows? Who can answer that question for me? Someone just said to me maybe the reason why Gold Coast Schoolies is so dead this year is because they banned Bonnie Blue. And she went to Fiji, so maybe all the kids are there. So this is the green room for tonight in the car park. And that's the back entrance of the nightclub. But they've got to upgrade apparently, they've got chairs. Welcome to Goldie. Welcome to Goldie. The manager of the club was just telling us a yarn about a guy last night that rolled down to this car park, and he was running from police apparently, and he came to the back of the club door and stashed 2 boxes of live chickens, and he was like, "Can you hide these?" And I'm like, "Is it illegal to have live chickens?" He was like, "Nah." He's like, we don't really know why he had live chickens, or even if he was getting chased by the police. We've been asking him about Schoolies in general. He said it's 40% down at the moment here, which is pretty bad because every year it's been down for like the last 10 years. And then we asked him about people on drugs. He said he's seen a couple, but it's definitely been less than there used to be. He said there was a guy in here before who was yelling, and then he walked up and said, what are you screaming about? And the guy's like, I'm talking. He's like, nah, you're yelling. So they had to eject him, but they haven't seen a whole heap of it like normal, which is again probably good, but as the kids are a lot more tamer and everyone's just talking about how they get up in the morning, how all the cafes are packed, and it's a time to chill out and relax and regroup rather than just get absolutely sloshed for 7 days. This was our horn for like 8 years. This is owned by or was designed by the guy that did 161 in Melbourne. And then he left and he's been owning this for like probably 15, maybe even 20 years. A lot more seedier. There's definitely a little bit of ecstasy consuming going on here. I would say that this should be predominantly Melbourne kids. Love the beach, bro. Thanks, bro. You're a legend. Thank you. That iconic dance floor at like 161 is the same one that's here. That's a smoking area here. Pretty mad. So aesthetically a lot different than everywhere else. My mate Soph. Hey Soph. So elsewhere I would say, at a guess, will be full of Melbourne kids. It's doing alright now for a Monday. But what will happen is over time the Melbourne kids will find it and they like those kind of darker, grungier, harder music places. I would say by Wednesday, Thursday, that joint will be pumping. So there's like Laura King there, Bell's Claxton, and a few other ones. But they just got to realise it's there. Because the other clubs are very much like sing-alongs and they're very cheesy. So they need that space. And I reckon that'll end up being where all the Melbourne kids meet one another over time. But that club elsewhere has held everybody. Like last year when we were up here, there was Festival X was on. Dom, Dollar, and Time Foot played. I saw when I was walking down, it was like Tigger, Salado, any like cool house artists or hard techno or anyone that's sort of anybody, when they come they play there. So it's a very, very cool venue, very reputable, has a lot of wicked international artists, always has, and it's always been the spot when I've come up here for my own holidays. That's where I'll go because it reminds me of a non-Gold Coast club. But everything else I think looks kind of the same, but that venue is a standout, different than everything else. So that is the end of Gold Coast Schoolies. Nothing really chaotic, didn't see any brawls. Saw a few police, but they looked like they weren't that busy. No chuck on the ground. I would say there was not really anyone even fucking intoxicated. Like maybe drinks are too expensive, they're watered down, I don't know. But there wasn't really, everyone was very polite. They came up and talked to us. The kids were very, very well behaved. The only place I reckon that they might have been on it was probably the last joint we went to. There was a lot of glasses. I saw a couple of chins going that way and that way. But other than that, as a whole, I would say very tame. So if you've got kids that are here, stress less because it's not that fucking bad. People always ask me, because obviously I've ran stuff here, would you let your kids come to Schoolies? And the answer is yes. Would I let them go to Gold Coast? If they wanted to, I probably would, because it's not that bad, but it's definitely the worst of the ones that I've been to. Fiji would be my pick. I've been there before. We did stuff over there like 3 years ago, and that is super chill. It's like a school camp with booze, and they get fed 3 times a day. They get forced to eat. And then Byron would be my second pick. That is very, very chill also. As I said, we saw people running and doing yoga. It's just, and then things close at like, everything's dead by 12 or 1 o'clock. So that would be my pick if my kids were going to go to Schoolies. So that's the insider look at Schoolies. I think you're probably looking at this and going, what the fuck happened? The kids used to be a lot more wild. What's going on now? Me personally, what I think it is paper straws. I think if we hadn't bought paper straws in, then maybe this never would have happened. But the whole paper straws thing is, it's gone a little bit too far. And I think this is the result we've seen, is a downtake in Schoolies. When I was coming here, there was 20,000 kids and it dwindled from 18 to 16 to whatever. I reckon they'd be lucky to be fucking 5,000 to 6,000 kids here now. So it's every single year it's declined for the last 20 years. Why? Maybe exorbitant prices, maybe whatever. And then another thing I'll probably mention, which is probably interesting, is that a lot of the venues here, they don't really care if they're busy or not because they get paid by Schoolies.com. So Schoolies.com, they own the monopoly of the venues. Minus that Fabric one that was obviously busy. There's normally one or two, but back in the day we used to run, we were competitors to them. There was another company called 1-800-Schoolies that was competitors to them. And there was a couple of clubs that were sort of like, cowboys that would be doing there and stuff. But basically now what happens is they just pay the money because they're making so much money off of comm and flight packages and the whole lot. They might be making $500-600 a kid. They want those kids, they want to be able to have them and own them and have zero competition, and they do it well and they pay for it and they're killing it. So I would say that it doesn't really matter because the venue's already making their profit before they even open the door. So anything they do is a bonus. But I was talking to the guys from Fabric. He was saying they do 25, which is a lot better than what we used to do. It was like $8 a head back when we were doing it. But I guess that's probably because there's a lot more drugs, but there's probably less now, which is good. That's a good sign. If you're a parent, again, feel chilled at the fact that your kids are drinking, because if they're per heads up, that means they're drinking. But he said they can't hold them, they just rotate. So that venue holds 600 and they're doing like 2,000 a night, and that's just people rotating. They're going to their free clubs and they're going to get the drink deals, they're doing whatever they're doing, and they end up there. So that's one of those things that happens. But what's the future for Schoolies? I don't know. But I think it may end up dwindling down to being nothing here. But in saying that, there's a lot more options down in Melbourne. For example, there's Phillip Island, there's Riot, and there's Torquay. And then there's more and more options popping up all the time. There's Ellie Beach, there's Fiji, there's all these island ones. I think as more people get into it, the lucrative market, we'll see less and less people actually attending these giant ones. So we're never going to see again these 20,000 swarms of all Australians coming here, because now there's 20, 30 options. There's really, really safe ones, there's really, really unsafe ones. So that's probably the future of Schoolies, is that the market will still exist, but they'll be smaller and they'll continue to be more controlled and they'll continue to be more safe. So my thing is, if you're going to send your kids to Schoolies, don't stress, because they're so fucking governed now that it's really, really hard for them to play up. From the hotels to the security to the Red Frogs to the actual people running it, there is zero, really, really low risk now compared to what they would be. As I said, there hasn't been a death for ages. Every year before that, there would be deaths from alcohol intoxication, people drowning, people falling out of roofs, all that sort of shit. But that is future. That is Schoolies now. Is it a good thing? Probably, yeah. It's probably awesome that these kids aren't having those issues and thing. But at the same time, it's just changed. Times change, and that's the way it is. So before I sign off, I have another theory too. So one of the things I noticed when we're out, and if you rewatch this video, you'll notice it, is I would say it was 99.9% white kids, Anglo-Saxon kids. So maybe as Australia gets more multicultural, those kids aren't allowed to come potentially because their families have different values on drinking alcohol and like the idea of finishing school and partying. Maybe they don't feel comfortable. There's no R&B clubs here. It was all sort of like cheesy pub kind of dance, commercial music, minus the techno space, but even that's pretty predominantly white traditionally. But the multiculturalism, it wasn't very evident here. It was very much white Australia, and I don't think that's necessarily been always the case. But I think maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a part of that. As we go along and we move as a culture and more people are from all different nationalities all over the world, and they're sort of second, third generation now, maybe our actual subculture of Australia has changed. Like back 20 years ago, people were out and, you were encouraged by your grandpa to get fucking hammered until 6 o'clock in the morning. You packed you in the back and said, you're a legend. You're a legend. Whereas now, maybe these families don't do that. Just a food for thought. Could be right, could be wrong. But if you think you have an idea of why we're seeing the decline, leave it in the comments below because I'd love to hear it. If you don't subscribe to me already, please subscribe now. Close on 10,000, we're like 600 away. Once I do, I'm going to give away an awesome prize. So please comment, like, share, because it means a lot and does a lot for the channel. And if you like it, share it with a friend. Guys, that's me signing out. You keep raving, I'll keep ranting.